Hey, what is going on, everybody? It's Wednesday. It is 8 p.m., one of my favorite times of the week. My name is Paul Spencer, and that is the OG of the airways, Mr. Bill Furman. Bill, how are we doing tonight?
Fantastic. Happy New Year to you and happy National Championship Week.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Bill. And I hope you had a good New Year's. I know you were traveling. Glad that you're home. Are you home now? No.
Nope. Nope.
Yeah.
On the third leg of the trip, first week was in Delaware. Second week was in Indianapolis. Third
Mhm.
week here just outside of Atlanta and headed home this weekend. So we'll be back in the regular saddle next week.
Ah, there you go. There you go. The Road Warrior, Bill. That's what I'm going to start calling you, you know?
Uh, when you have three sons, three kids, and they're spread out in three different states and they can't get home for Christmas, you got to go see them if you're able to. So
I
that's what we
hear you.
were able to do.
I hear you, Bill. We're still trying to work on that, sponsorship, the NIL deal for a travel agency or, a car sponsorship for you, Bill, because I get you, Bill. My kids are in Philadelphia, so it's, hop, skip, and a jump for me. But, Bill, wow. These games this week, Bill. Let's talk about this, Bill. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, for as crappy as the playoffs were, not the playoffs, the bowl games were, to get to the big boys in the Final Four, all teams intact, ready to roll,
Mhm.
uh, they did not disappoint. Two really, really good football games.
Bill, from a fan standpoint, you just we'll get into that a little bit later, Bill. I'm going to bring up the question about bowl games here to you in a little after this here, but Bill, this did not disappoint. I mean, the BCS, you know what? Whatever they did, they got it right because you have a game going to overtime, and then you have a game, the nightcap, Bill, go down to the last play of the game. Bill, I don't think I left my seat. I think I went to the bathroom one time between games, and that was it. It had me glued to my seat, Bill.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a college football fan like we are, there you couldn't just be enthralled with it. I mean, it was just good football. There was some sloppy play, but that
Mhm.
that was kids playing ball. There was some mistakes, there were some things.
Yeah.
It was certainly weren't perfect games, but they were four teams, two teams playing each other, however you want to call it, that just played their hearts out.
Yeah, yeah. And just like Eddie says, the BCS got it right, Bill. Say what you want to say. I still get, FSU, Bill, 13-0. I get that. But Bill, would it have been a different story if FSU didn't, sit out all the players, Roadmaker transferring right before the game, basically, everybody transferring out. But Bill, only really team that I can make an argument probably at this point, Bill, would probably Georgia, the way they played, because they look serious, Bill, the way they played as well. But Bill, these four teams, I tell you what, it was big boy football in that Michigan Alabama game, Bill. Big boy football.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think the Florida State thing, it's gotta go off on the side a little bit. You can't
Yeah,
judge them by what happened in this game
true.
in any way, shape, or form.
Hmm.
Uh, but the Georgia situation always comes back to me, and it is why is it okay to lose early and not lose late? One loss is one loss. Because Georgia lost that championship game, they're out. Georgia may well be the best of all these teams in here,
Yeah.
but they didn't win that one game when they had to because somebody decided that was the one they had to win. It was okay for Alabama to lose early. It was okay for Texas to lose in the middle of the season,
Hmm.
but it wasn't okay for Georgia to lose the last game.
Yeah, but I've always said, ever since I've really been started watching college football, the way we do, I always said lose early. Lose early, you
Sure.
still have a life. But Bill, that was opposite 180 here. You lost late and you got out in the conference championship to arguably a team that got in with a one loss to a team that also got in. But I don't know, Bill, but I can't argue with the BCS this year, Bill, the committee. They kept me on my seat. And Bill, let's talk about this Alabama Texas game. Wow. What did you see, Bill? I don't want to get into the last play of the game yet, Bill. I want to get your takes on the entire game, leading up to that last play.
What,
Or
Alabama,
series.
Michigan? Yeah,
Yes. Hmm.
Alabama, Michigan.
Hmm.
Uh, well, I thought it was interesting from the Tommy Reese perspective, from the Milrow perspective. It came out in the second half, and it looked like they changed the strategy, changed the game plan, and they were going to let Milrow be the athlete that was going to win this game for them.
Yeah.
They instead of playing basically how they played in the first half, where they were spreading the ball, trying to do a bunch of stuff. It looked like they were like, okay, man, we're gonna load up on our wagon here, and we're gonna let Milrow win this game for us, and that's what they tried to do.
Yeah, Bill, looking at the stats, I mean, Milroe threw 23 times, completed 16 for only 116 yards, Bill. Rushing wise, Alabama just ran the ball 43 for 172. But Milroe had, 21 carries, Bill, 21 carries the entire game.
Yeah.
I thought I was watching the Philadelphia Eagles play for a little bit, Bill.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. Well, and like I say, in the second half, he was getting big chunks.
Yeah, yeah.
And it looked like there he was going to carry him home.
Mhm.
I will say this: I thought the Michigan front, both sides of the ball, played extremely well. Put a lot of pressure from the defensive side. Put a lot of pressure on the Alabama offensive line. The center quarterback exchange was a
Oh,
problem for Alabama,
mm.
all the way down to the end, actually.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was looking at the correspondence between both of them, Milroe and the center, but I don't know his name. But looking at that, you have one job to do. This is, week basically 14 for you guys. You got to get this right. I mean, the one Bill I will say was on Milroe. It was a snap count. He snapped the ball. It hit him. Milroe was looking the opposite way. But Bill, there was like 3 or 4 other incidents that this happened too.
Yeah.
It's just uncalled for fundamental football.
Yeah, and I didn't see this when it happened in the game, but
Mhm,
I think I saw it today, and I meant to send it to you, and I think I forgot.
mhm,
There's a still picture floating around out there of that last play, um, where the wing back or the running back was
mhm,
almost like it was a screen, a bubble pass type of thing. He had 2 blockers in front, and what the piece said, again, I don't know who this
mhm,
came from or if it means anything, but that the snap was off and Milroe basically panicked and ran the ball up the middle.
mm.
That was not the design play. The design play was to throw a bubble out there to the running back at full speed, and he had blockers out there. If that is all indeed true, it's on the internet. It must be true.
It's got to be, Bill. It's got to be. Everything is on the internet's true, Bill. But yeah, I didn't even see that, Bill. I want to go back and take a look at that as well, because basically that's what Michigan ran with Corum, coming out of the backfield on that set play where they put him in
Yeah.
motion, come off the screen, not the screen there, but like a jet sweep, but not full speed, to get him out there 1-on-1 against a linebacker or a nickel safety, wherever he may have him. But Bill, I get putting the ball in your player's best hands. We were texting back and forth, and I was like, now it's time, for Milroe, give him the best player your ball here. But, going with what you said, Bill, what do you think it was? Milroe, he has a play called. Tommy Reese called the play. He's at the line of scrimmage, Bill. The play is there. You think he just panicked, Bill, and just said, you know what? I got us here. I'm better than 10 of these players on the Michigan front seven. The second, I can get through here, Bill. What do you think there?
I really think I'd like to see more about that play
Yeah.
I just described.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a panic move from Milroe because he got a bad snap, or a
Mm-hmm.
snap that was a little bit off and it was going to throw the timing off, and he just tried to run up the middle? I really have a hard time believing that Tommy
Yeah.
Reese and Nick Saban thought that play was going to win the game.
Yes.
It just wasn't a good play. Getting the ball in Milroe's hands, rolling him out with an option to run pass and do some other things
Mm-hmm.
seemed like the thing to do. You got the ball in your best player's hands, let him make a good decision, hopefully, whether it's to tuck it up and run or to throw it.
Yeah.
Not run the ball up the middle against a defensive line that was really, really good.
Yeah.
And the ends of Michigan crashed. They're the ones that blew the whole thing up.
Mm-hmm.
And the play had no chance. And Tommy Reese is definitely taking a beating over this.
Yes, he has.
I'm not sure it's all on Tommy Reese here.
Yeah, I agree, Bill. I mean, there was a huge adjustments made in that first half, second half. Michigan had 5 sacks in the first half, Bill. They found a game plan. They adjusted to it schematic wise. 1 sack in the second half. Let Milroe run the ball, Bill. But I couldn't agree with you more. To me, Bill, you know what? I'm going to put the ball in my best player hand, which is Milroe at the time, of course. I'm going to let him run if it's there. But Bill, I'm going to spread that field a little bit to get me a little crease or some lanes out there, Bill. Because if you put one wide out on the outside and you pull your running back off and say put him in motion there, well, you know what? You're basically playing 8-on-3 here. Basically, your line of scrimmage is just going to say, okay, well, we know where the best player is at on the field. He's got the ball in his hands. We're going to crash in the middle. If you make a great play, you beat us. We'll go to overtime. We'll go to second OT here, Bill. But They sold out against that offensive line, and they made the right call.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you look back at this a little more of the game,
Mm-hmm.
JJ McCarthy, I wouldn't
Mm.
go to say he did a masterful job. He did enough,
Yes.
you know, um, but he certainly didn't hurt them
Right.
in any way. But when they got to overtime and they ran 25 yards in 2 plays with Corum, like
Yeah. Yeah.
we
Mm-hmm.
could have run through them holes.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the Michigan offensive line was not going to be denied at that point.
No, they pulled up the big boy pants, Bill, and they just said, you know what, we're just going to go with what got us here, run the ball with Corum in the backfield doesn't hurt it well. But Bill, the one thing I tell you, when McCarthy had that ball, Bill, I think we text back and forth. Now it's McCarthy time. We're going to
Yeah,
see what all the hype's about. Bill, I take what he managed the game exactly how he needed to get there. Take what they gave you. There was a lot of key runs that he had too, Bill.
yeah,
Three carries for 25 yards, and those 25 yards, Bill, twice moved the sticks in key
yeah,
possessions too. So
yeah.
I give
And
him
he made
credit.
a couple nice throws there in the
He
fourth
did.
quarter when they really needed him. He threaded the needle on the
Yeah.
sideline and made a couple real nice throws.
That one he threw on the sideline, that toe tap catch, I thought it was out of bounds until, the big eye in the sky came down. I'm like, wow, that was a hell of a ball from a person that I said couldn't really throw the ball,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah. But Bill, I mean,
I have one
mhm,
more question for you with Michigan going
mhm.
on to advancing and moving on. A lot of talk on the radio, sports radio, and all that because Michigan has what they beat Penn State, Maryland, Ohio State, and now Alabama. Is it a forgive and forget that they might have cheated for the first 6 or 8 games of the year?
You know what, Bill? I think that asterisk is always going to be there no matter what. I mean, it's, you know what, Bill? You can have all the extra incentives or schematics, whatever you want to call them, in the locker room going over it, Bill. But there's one word that I always say: execute, Bill. You have to execute on the field too. So regardless of what you have extra film or keys to the game, the players got to execute, Bill. And when you beat arguably these teams that you beat, I don't know, Bill. I kind of dismiss it a little bit. I really do. What do you
Well, I
think?
think whoop, I'm frozen already.
We're early tonight, Bill.
We're early tonight.
Uh-oh.
Uh, but I think it's a whole lot different having film to watch in the locker room versus having the plays on the sidelines, knowing what the other team's going to do. That certainly,
Yes, it's
that
beneficial.
yeah, that's beneficial too. But
Yes.
I don't know that at this point you want to take anything away from Michigan, but you know, would they have won all those other games if they didn't have the plays? If they indeed did.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those games were close, Bill. To me, a lot of those games were. I seen that little that they said about Michigan. Michigan is that second half team. The adjustments are made, Bill. Maybe it's they see something a little bit different, but I don't know. I give a lot of credit to the coaching staff, but
Oh yeah.
I think a lot of that, Bill, there is going to be an asterisk no matter what. We see it, in sports a lot. It happens, Bill. I'm surprised it doesn't happen as much, honestly. I heard that there was a drone in the air or something. We lost Bill there. Bill will be back. Yeah, exactly, Eddie. You're right. A record time for the freeze. I agree. Bill will be back today. I don't know what it is. I actually talked to my tech guy from my office, and he said it was something. Maybe there's a timeout in Bill's laptop or something. But yeah, this game here, I tell you what, this game had me glued to my seat. It was big boy football. I really wasn't sold on Alabama's offense. They get key plays, of course. Milrow is 80% of the action there. McClellan, the running back for them, was really great too. Oh, there's Bill right back. Okay, Bill.
Let's see if that works. I was able to shortcut it that time. I didn't have to shut everything
There
off.
you go. Eddie's got it on key here. He says record time for the freeze, Bill.
Right? No kidding.
Yeah, but Bill, are you surprised that they didn't open it up for Milrow just a little bit more? I mean, Bill, 21 carries for your starting running back. I understand, Bill. 75% of the offense is Milrow. It goes through him, but I don't know, Bill. What would you a little bit opened up a little bit more? Little slant passes or something, Bill. What would you have done differently?
Well, I think in Alabama's case, I mean, they were there. They had the lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't know that I'd have done anything different other than they gave up 2 touchdowns late that cost them the game, or
yeah,
they
yeah,
ended up losing the game. Alabama was pretty much in position where they wanted to be.
mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah,
doing what they did.
mm-hmm. I agree. Bill, are we McCarthy? Are we going to give him a pass and say I'm sorry, Bill, or has he just done enough, Bill, to get them to the national championship?
Um, I still think he's just done enough
I
because of
agree.
the last 3 games before this one. I was definitely impressed with how he played against Alabama, but
Hmm.
the last 3 or 4 games leading up to that, um, you know, it certainly wasn't enough to put him in a Heisman hunt by
Oh,
any means.
definitely, definitely, definitely. Now, Bill, the last thing before this game, here we go to the next game here. I don't know if you've seen, but Harbaugh actually came out on the Michigan Twitter and said that J.J. McCarthy is arguably the best quarterback in Michigan history. What are your thoughts on that?
I think Jim must have been out late at night.
That's what Bill. The Twitter page blew up because they're saying, I tell you what, I think the bars were a little bit late, open a little bit later than
Yeah,
usual because after that comment, and even Tom Brady actually replied to it and said, 100%, I agree with a smiley face, Bill.
yeah. Well, that's Brady though.
Yes,
That's the kind of stuff Brady does.
yes,
Whenever you start talking goats,
yes,
because the GOAT list starts with him. And
exactly.
when you're talking quarterbacks, now at Michigan, he wasn't even a starter at Michigan a lot.
No, no,
Um,
no.
but Brian Greasy might have something to say about it. He won a national championship there at Michigan,
I agree. I
and he
agree
was a pretty
100%.
solid quarterback himself.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Harbaugh got a little late visit, or a late early start and a late departure at the bar that night. Bill,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah. Something wasn't right with Jim.
I
Well,
agree.
unless he's just pumping his kid up because he needs a big game from him next week.
Hey, you know what? Whatever works for you, Jimmy. Go ahead and do it because you're going to need this. I mean, Bill. But let's get to the nightcap. Oh my goodness, Bill. I thought I couldn't see anything better, Bill. But Washington, Texas, Bill, 31-37. And Bill, last play of the game, and they got an extra second, Bill, for
Yeah.
another play.
Well, they actually got an extra 40 seconds
Yes, yes,
from
for
that
that. Yeah,
injury
the injury. Yes,
that looked like the game was in the bag.
yes.
They end up giving them an extra 40 seconds.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, it was by rule. It was the right thing to do, but
Yeah.
that rule needs to get fixed.
Yeah, I mean, we always say, the defensive player, Bill, if they fall down, you know what? It gives them time to, readjust your defensive line schematic wise. But Bill, I tell you what, I as a coach, Bill, I don't know if I was the only one, Bill, but I'm yelling, hey, I know he's one of my stud players, but I'm picking his butt off the field, Bill, and carrying his butt off really quick. Because
Right?
I know that's a 30-second adjustment there, Bill. I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm calling down, say, grab him, pull him off. I don't care if you drag him off the field, get him off the field, Bill.
And I don't know that everybody knew the rule there. I
Yes, I
don't
was
think anybody,
screaming.
from the coach's standpoint to the players. I mean, them big eaters would have grabbed him up and run him over the sideline, threw him across the
Yes,
line.
yes.
Uh, you know, I don't think anybody really realized what was going to happen there and
Hmm.
what an impact it ended up having.
Bill, I tell you what, this not regarding the college football, but about 2 years ago, well, I actually not this year, but last year, Bill, I coach up here, and we had an incident where I needed, I didn't have any timeouts, Bill, and we had like 18 seconds left on the clock. We're driving, and one of my players went down, and I yelled at him on the sidelines, "Fall down, stay down, fall down, stay down," and he tried getting up. One of my players went over and pushed him back down. Says, "It's your ankle, it's your ankle, ref, ref, it's ankle, ankle." Bill, I was like, stay down, stay down. I'm talking to my QB. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Let's get this play. Here's what we're gonna do. Whatever we call him. We pull him off the sideline, Bill, and the ref comes over me. He's like, you know what? I got to give you credit. I got to give you credit. He's like, I was like, why? What's wrong? He goes, that was a hell of a coaching move right there to give yourself at the line of scrimmage because I'm not adjusting the play clock until the ref says let's go. So I
Right?
was like, then the other coach comes over. He's like, is he hurt? I was like, oh, he just twisted his ankle. He's okay. I'm like, okay, thank you. But yeah,
Yeah.
Bill, I don't think they knew the rule there. I really don't.
No, no, me neither. And it almost got them.
Yeah, yeah. Penix. Can we talk about Michael Penix, Bill? Good gosh.
I'll just say this. Um, don't want to take anything away from the Heisman,
Mm-hmm.
but anybody that didn't vote for Michael Penix,
Yes.
when they went to bed Monday night, they had to be thinking, I made a real mistake because Michael
Yeah.
Penix is the best player in the country and it's not close.
Bill, 29 for 38, 430 yards, only 2 TDs through the air, Bill. He didn't have to do much, but I tell you what, Bill, he can throw that ball on a dart in a hole, whatever you want to say. This kid is insane, Bill, and I couldn't agree with you more. I understand Jaden Daniels had, a record year with numbers wise, Bill. I get that. But when you're in a BCS semifinal game, Bill, and you put up 430 and don't miss a beat, all season long, Bill, this kid, I tell you what, I am so glad watching him in Indiana, with the injuries, the 2 ACLs, the shoulder clavicle, transferring. Great numbers last year, Bill. But you know what? This kid deserves everything that he gets for the next level, Bill.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing that credit to the Washington coaching staff too,
Mm-hmm.
3 huge plays in that game were 3 Michael Penix runs.
Yeah,
And
Bill,
he's
that's the
not a
other thing.
runner. He's not a designed runner. But he had 3 runs for 30 some yards.
Yeah, he had 3 carries for 33, Bill, all first downs.
Right. They were all important plays. They were designed for him. Great job by the Washington staff to put that together. And of course, Penix executes them.
And Bill, exactly what you said there, coming off 2 ACLs and a shoulder injury, of course, he's not going to run. But Bill told me 2 things. Great play calling on, Washington's part. You're not going to run with Michael Penix. He hasn't done it all year. Why do it now? And the other thing, Bill, I give so much credit to Penix, calling that play, not audible and out that I'm not going to run the ball. I'm not getting injured. I'll do whatever I have to do to get this win. He did it, Bill. 3 first downs, 3 carries, 33 yards, and key moved the sticks, in that drive, Bill.
Yeah, well, and I think to your point there, I think that's a great point to throw about all 4 of these teams. They all came to play. There was none of this. I'm worried about me. Now a bunch of them bailed out after the game and hit the portal and hit the draft and whatever. But that's their prerogative. They stayed in there to win for their team, and you have to admire that.
Ken Jackson, he's one of the hosts of the Silver and Black, the Raiders show that we have here, Bill. Harbaugh and Penix to the Raiders.
The Harbaugh to the Raiders is picking up a lot of steam.
I hear that. Yes, I hear that.
I don't know. And Penix to the Raiders. Whether the Raiders are going to pick what, like 18, 20, somewhere like that?
I think they're a little bit lower than that, Bill. I think they are actually. Yeah, a kid still watching. He can check in with that one. But Bill, as we always talk about that draft combine, Bill. Penix is not going to that draft combine. This is his audition right here, Bill. We always talk about that draft combine can shoot you from the second round to arguably top 5, maybe number 1 pick as a QB. Did this do it, Bill? Because we've seen, Trey Lance, we've seen all these players, Josh Allen at the combine throwing for 85 yards, on a dart. Did this move Penix up from where he was supposed to be, maybe the 3rd quarterback behind Williams and a Drake May, to maybe, hey, we've seen what we see here at another level. Maybe we want to take the flyer on Penix now.
Yeah, and first of all, I think he will go to the combine.
Okay.
I just do, because he can only improve his status, I think, unless they find out that he's got a limp arm. But I don't think anybody's going to see that.
Either that, or you think they'll just hold in-house at Washington, with this way he can select
the pro day type.
Okay.
The pro day. I mean, that's possible. He's going to work out for the pros, because he's got a chance to go, like you said, he could go anywhere from maybe 5 to 15 or somewhere in there. I don't think he's going to go ahead of May or Williams, but
I didn't say this, but he might be like that Aaron Rodgers who just sits in the green room waiting, arguably 1 or 2 here, and maybe drop down to 3 or 4 quarterbacks taken in and prove you wrong, win a couple Super Bowls somewhere,
Yeah. Well, and I think this week, he's got another big game ahead of him. We'll see how this plays out. And I think he's going to play well in this game against Michigan, but we'll see. Him to the Raiders with Harbaugh might kind of be interesting.
I hear that. Did you see Ewers after the game was over, Bill? Did you see what he was doing? He was just staring into the lights. Bill, I know he said he's coming back, Bill, but maybe you think this changed a little bit. Maybe what do you think? Because he had a look of disgust on his face, Bill.
Yeah, but I think, who's not disgusted when you just lost the game that way? No, I think he's probably going to come back. And, again, it all goes down to what's that NFL grade look like?
Yes, true.
Is he a top 5 quarterback where he may, is he going to go 27th? or
Right.
something like that. Um, he can only improve his stock, I think, by staying at Texas. Texas is going to be good.
Yeah,
Now to go to the
I was.
SEC, it's going to be a little different world for him.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it's a little bit different world, Bill. You're stepping up to the varsity level now. We're not
yeah,
not discrediting in the Big 12, of course, but I wasn't high on Sarkeesian coming in. I never liked Sarkeesian really as a head coach, of course, but I tell you what, Bill, his team, he's turned this around, and the recruiting class that he has coming in next year, it's top five, Bill, top five.
okay, yeah. So let's talk about that for just a minute,
Hmm.
because Texas is an interesting case study to the NIL.
Yes.
Uh, because I believe it was 2 years ago now, some rich guy in Texas, there's a lot of them,
Hmm.
uh, decided that he was given all of the offensive linemen $50,000.
Hmm.
So they all make $50,000. Well, and a couple kids, one was going to play for Sanders at Colorado, changed at the last minute and says, "I'm going to Texas for 50 grand."
Hmm.
Um, you know, and another guy said, "Hey, I can." He already has a daughter. He's like, "I can buy my kid
Yeah.
stuff." You know,
Yeah.
uh, so if that's right or not right, I mean, it's fine for the kids. I guess they're getting the money, but is that really where we are with college football, where you can say, "Okay, you come play for me for," no, I guess it's a year-round job, but
Sure.
whatever you want to call it, and we're going to give you $50,000. A lot of people out there in the world not making $50,000.
Bill, you know what? Big pockets are going to win championships. I guess that's what we're going to say in the future here,
That's where we
because
are.
it's as a fan, Bill, this is something you hate, and what, Bill, that's a great thing. It's going to lead us to our next topic before we get to the national championship, Bill. Bill, we talked off camera. 50 some bowl games. Hell, there's games that I didn't even know they were even about anymore. Bill, new games popping up every year. Bowl games, of course, but Bill, I've only watched 4 games so far this year, and I'm one, Bill, that what. I don't care what my family says. I'm sitting at home watching this, the blockbuster, this game, Cheetos Bowl, whatever you want to call it, Bill. I'm watching it, the Sonny Bowl. I don't care what we're watching.
Right.
I'm going to watch that game, Bill. But Bill, is it just me, or have you lost that luster to watch bowl games, Bill? Because I can't stand it, Bill. Transfer portal, NIL, players opting out. Bill, it's not football to me, these bowl games.
It's completely ruined. I was home on New Year's Day, or home
Hmm.
where I was in the
Hmm.
house. Um, I've been to the Outback Bowl, which the Tampa Bowl, whatever they call it now,
Hmm.
10 times. I've been to the Capital One Bowl 10 times.
Hmm.
Fiesta Bowl, great bowl.
Hmm.
Um, those games were against quality programs against each other in
Yes.
half empty stadiums,
Yes.
nobody in the upper deck, nobody playing, and nobody caring. One of the three
Hmm.
games ended up being a decent score, the LSU game. The other two games were blowouts. The Orange Bowl, one of the best bowl games,
Yeah.
was a blowout. Um, Nobody, I mean, Kirby Smart came out and said they got to do something about this.
Yes.
This was
Yeah.
nothing.
Hmm.
Um, the coaches know it. I don't know the answer. I don't know that anybody knows the answer, because the portal is what the portal is. I don't think they're going to stop anybody from transferring.
Right.
The date is supposedly, for what this is worth, is supposed to be what it is, because the transfer have to get enrolled in their new school in January to start the semester. So
Yeah.
they can't push it out further, because then the kids can't enroll. Well, are they really caring about them enrolling? I mean, at the end
No.
of the day, we're paying to play football,
Bill, well,
but
you
they
said,
but they have to still be in school.
yeah. What was that school, Bill? I forgot. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, where the quarterback was paid $50,000 just to stay here and play and not transfer. I mean, Bill,
Yeah,
that's what football's all about now. You know what? It's about, what am I worth? What do I bring? Not to the university, but what can I bring to myself now in a matter of money, Bill? That's what it comes down to. It's
yeah.
bad.
That was Minnesota, and
Listen,
it's
okay.
funny you mentioned that, because I forgot about that.
Hmm.
I didn't follow that up to see how that kid did, or that he even
I
played.
didn't
But what
either.
happened there is their depth chart got emptied in the portal. He was the only quarterback. So they were either going to go with no quarterback. He said, "Give me $30,000 and I'll play." You talk about being hostage. I mean, it's ridiculous,
Wow.
but that's how that went down. And like I say, I need to pull up that Minnesota game and see how that all worked out, or if they indeed did pay them. And the other thing, I don't want to get too far off the topic here, but high school kids are trying to get $10,000 to go on official visits from each school now.
Wait, Bill. Hold on a
Yeah.
second. I did not. Wait a minute. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Just for a recruiting visit, Bill?
Yeah.
That's like one of those timeshares, Bills. Wait, we'll give you a free ticket so you can come down and just, check us out here. You don't have to buy, you don't have to, commit or anything, but you want the money up front, 10 grand just to go on a visit. Yeah. Well, Bill, you know what? If that's me, I'm setting up, 8 to 10 visits per year. Like, why not? 100 grand for me? Why not?
Well, they can only do 5. Okay. But it's still, if they can really get $50,000, wow. But you know how many kids those schools run in and out, because obviously they get maybe one out of every 10 thereafter.
Yeah.
Just you're going to give all these kids 50 grand.
It's insane, Bill. It really has. Like, Bill, what games did you watch before I read Steve's comment here? What games of course, the BCS semis game. I know that, Bill. I know you watched Penn State as well. Was there any other game?
And to be honest with you, I listened to a lot of the Penn State game on the radio. I went out.
Wow.
Out. And we were driving around. I had some time with my son. He was off on Saturday for a while. So we went out and about, and I had it on the radio. I would never miss a Penn State game. Now, Penn State travels so well for Ole Miss, it was almost like a home game there in Atlanta. So they did have a sellout crowd at that game. But I watched some of that. I watched some of the Georgia-Florida State till I had to turn it off. I did watch some of the Notre Dame game. I actually turned off the LSU game to watch the Notre Dame game, which was a mistake because the Notre Dame game was a blowout too.
Yeah, 40-8.
Yeah, I mean, so, but all the lower level bowl games, I didn't watch them.
No, I didn't even know half the players that were playing, honestly. I try to watch all games. I'm not 100% on every player. Of course, nobody is. But watching some of these games, Bill, even the Notre Dame roster, when I watched that game, I was glad to see Steve Anginelli get his time, of course, playing. Estime, he came out. And there was one guy, Jordan Faison. He's a freshman. He plays lacrosse, Bill. Yeah. He's been on the roster this year. And he had a great game, over 100 yards, a TD. But, Bill, I just don't know. I'm the same way you were. I was just like, you know what? Hey, Bill, I took down my Christmas decorations, that day. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to watch these games. I'm not even worried about this. It's just, it lost so much passion, Bill. And it's not to me what New Year's Day was all about. Of course, we got 2 good games. But, Bill, on New Year's Day, I'm waiting. I'm up at 8 o'clock in the morning, get my chores done. Noon, I am ready to watch some bowl games, the Rose Bowl, even though it was in semifinals this year. But, Bill, I've lost a lot of passion for these bowl games. I really have.
Yeah, and I think they're saying, well, this is an anomaly that next year we're going to have 12 teams and this and that, but in reality you're going to have some buys in there from the top ranked teams.
Sure.
So I didn't look at the bracket close enough yet, but so maybe you get what would it be, say for a 10 or 12 games by the time you get to the national championship that they're going to play. Maybe they're going to play one in Shreveport in that bowl. Who knows where they're going to play them, and ultimately end up in the big stadiums. But even at that, say you, just for conversation, say you got 12 games. What are you going to do with the other 30 bowls?
Yeah, but I want to ask you this before we go to the national championship game. Exactly what you said here. Going to 12 teams this year. 1 and 2 will get a bye, whatever it may be. Protecting that. I didn't even look at it this year, but honestly, are they going to be considered bowl games, Bill, or like lesser games? Because let's just say, Penn State is 3 and Notre Dame's at 12. Arguably they're going to play each other in a matchup here. But Bill, are they going to call that, let's say the Fiesta Bowl? Are they going to call that the Fiesta Bowl, or are they just going to have a playoff where it's a location where it's set and those teams play with no bowl title men at all and just play the game and move on to the next level?
I think what they're going to do is they're going to play it's going to be the Fiesta Bowl. It's going to be called the Fiesta Bowl so they can get Fiesta Bowl advertisement money. But it's going to be part of the playoff system. Okay, the other thing I don't know for sure is that the first round could be at somebody's home.
Wow. Okay.
So that first round, while some guys have the buys, you may have, let's just say, Florida have to come to Happy Valley to play on December the 20th or some whatever.
So home field advantage will play into this somehow, some way.
I think in that first round.
Okay.
because I don't think they're including, they don't want to include all those bowls because
Right.
they want just the big seat bowls. They don't want to go to Birmingham anymore
Yeah.
to play there. They want to
Mhm.
play in the Peach Bowl. There's now a New Year's Six game.
Right.
The Fiesta, probably Tampa, Orlando, Miami, the Orange Bowl, uh, the Rose Bowl, obviously, and the Cotton Bowl.
Mhm.
They're going to try to keep them big bowls in the mix.
Yeah. There's a reason why I asked that too, Bill. Is, I just had the question that let's just say, like I said, Penn State, Notre Dame, 3-12. They, let's say Penn State gets that home field advantage or whatever it is, or whatever they call the bowl. The winning team is going to make out like crazy with Bandits with some money wise, Bill. You're getting another bowl the next week. If you're that 12 seed, Bill, and you run the table, you're basically getting 4 bowl games. That Bill, that could be $5 million each game for your university, even more, Bill, with the deals now. That could be a huge thing too in the playoff
Yeah.
system.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a whole bunch of bean counters trying to figure that out. If it's going to be
Mhm.
spread across the conferences like it is now,
Yeah, yeah.
how are they going to do that? I mean, if you looked at it this year, you would have had, say this was next year,
Mhm.
you'd have Washington, Oregon, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, all 5 of them. Am I missing somebody else that was in the top 12?
No, USC was out. Oregon State was out. Yeah,
Yeah.
this does, Bill. Yeah.
So you would have 5, and I
Mhm.
think there was about 5 from the SEC
Yeah.
also. So all the money's going to go to the big guys.
Yeah, agreed. I just want to, that's something they got to, jurisdict for next year too, because I feel bad for the lower teams, Bill. If you're sitting at 13, you might not get a penny. You might owe to go to a bowl game, honestly.
Well,
You
that's
think
what
about it.
happens now. That's what
True.
happens now with
True.
the mandatory ticket prices buys they have to make and all that. It costs money for some of these teams to go to bowl games.
I agree. I agree. Kid says first round will be 5, 6, 7, 8 seeds home versus. Oh, okay.
There you
Wow.
go.
So you know what, Bill? Now, last thing, Bill, I want to ask you is, does this going to change anything, Bill, for the top 12 teams next year? Do you think that maybe the transfer portal date will be changed, Bill, or are we still going to have people sitting at, Bill, if you're playing, Washington, Texas, Bama, Georgia, Michigan, and you're sitting at 13, Bill, odds are, Bill, you don't have a chance to win against one of these teams. I understand every team has that puncher's chance, Bill, to get to the finals. But Bill, if you're sitting at 13 and you're one of the, let's just say you're that Drake May at 13, it's a huge run to get to the BCS, Bill. Are you going to sit out and just say, you know what? I'm going to take my chances in the NFL, regardless of that, and not get hurt, Bill? Do you still think we're going to see this or not?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think
Oh,
we are.
yeah,
It's
I
just
agree.
it's about the money for these kids, and I get it.
I get it too.
The teams they may depending on how these dates work out as was just put up on there by Kid.
Mhm.
I think you see how it falls of how long you might get a kid. Like you might
Mhm.
get a kid that plays in his first round. It's going to be in his home stadium one more time.
Right.
Plays in that first round, then maybe not.
Okay. Yeah. So it's the top 4 seeds that are going to get the buy is what they're going to get. They're the top 4 seeds. But Bill, if we're looking at this, 5, 12, there's going to be 3 rounds, basically almost 4 rounds to get to the BCS here, the semis. Are we going to look at, we always talked about that bowl and, ending in November, Bill, that always that layover for about 28 days to the national championship game. Now, Bill, we might be arguably right near the Super Bowl time right now then.
Well, I think what's going to happen is they're just going to play through.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think you're not going to have those openings. I don't
I
think you
agree.
can.
I agree. Yeah.
I don't think you could play college football till February. That would be its own problem. The
Exactly.
other thing I will also want to find out,
Mhm.
we'll see how it develops too, is if you've got this setup that we're talking about, do you need a conference championship game?
Wow. Wow. That's true too.
Alabama and Georgia were going to go anyway.
That's true. Yeah, Bill. That's a great point.
Now, in the case of, excuse me,
Mhm.
Michigan and Iowa probably wasn't going
Right.
unless they won. So there would have been a chance for them. But I think for the most part, the 2 teams that are going to your conference championship are probably advancing to the top 12 anyway. So do you need it?
I think Florida State's saying we don't need it because I think if that game didn't happen between Georgia and Alabama, FSU's in, Bill.
Right, right.
Yeah, I don't understand. I have no idea. I can't wait till next year. That's a committee. That's another issue for the committee there, Bill. But I want to get back to Steve's comment real quick. I went over that one. They need to get back to the bowl set up the early 90s, early 2000s, with a 10, 12 games, and there were top 20, 25 teams get to play. Hashtag make bowl respectable again. I don't think we'll ever get back to that, Bill, honestly.
Well,
Never.
I think they tried to do it to some extent this year, where like Penn State and Ole Miss at 9 and 10 played each other.
Yeah.
Ohio State and
Florida, Georgia. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think they tried to do that to some extent, but then they hit a point there that,
Yeah.
there was no reason to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you try to make the games, make the bowl games great again, I guess we could say, but you can't, hold a gun to a player's head and say you have to play, Bill. It's their entitlement. They're about the money. They do what they want to do. They make the final call. But, I get it, Bill. It's about the money. We're old school, Bill. We say, commitment is my word. Commitment, 100%. You don't see that anymore. But Steve says to help get the players playing a bowl game with the NIL contracts require a bowl appearance if applicable. Let's be honest, the school is paying their entire based on image on visibility and playing ability. I get that too, Bill. I mean, I said it on Twitter. I was like, I received so many hate things about it, Bill. It's like, if you want to transfer, play your bowl game, and then you can transfer. Commit to yourself first. The university who paid the money, invested in you, lead out to your commitment. And everybody's like, I don't know how many hashtags I got, Bill, or little gifs, whatever we call them, memes about Deion Sanders dropping the money, Bill. That's all I got.
Yeah. Well, I think to Steve's point, though, I think kind of as a clarification, it's not the schools paying the money.
No, it's not. No,
it's not the University of Texas giving each kid $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
It's these collectives that are collecting and distributing the money out.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a cold. So I just don't know really how you're going to fix this thing at this point.
Yep. And Bill, before we'll go right to this game here. Get rid of divisions. I don't think you can ever get rid of divisions, Bill. I mean, the SEC is top two teams, Bill. There is no more divisions in the SEC. It's the top two teams, regardless of who it is. One could be 10-0, the other could be 10-0. Those are the top teams. There's no more divisions than that. But divisions with the Big Ten, Bill. I mean, what since you're part of that one there, what with the Big Ten this year? Are they getting away from divisions, Bill?
Not yet, but
okay.
It sounds like they're working towards that.
Okay.
But the way the schedule is set up, they're all intertwined.
Okay, gotcha,
so,
gotcha.
I don't think they've actually come out and said we're scrapping the whole thing.
Okay.
But that's kind of how the schedule looks at this point.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think it's going to have to be that way, Bill, honestly, because it's kind of crazy how it's going to be. I mean, with how many teams and Bill, there's going to be two powerhouses next year. It's going to be the SEC and the Big Ten, regardless of what people say.
Yep.
It's going to be a loaded Big Ten SEC, top 12 next year, Bill. I think that's the way it's going to be. But Bill, we got a game next Monday, Bill, and I know I'm going to be watching this game. I know you're going to be watching this game, Bill. I listened to the Philly Press Box, and Bill, that's on every Wednesday at 7 p.m., correct?
It is Wednesday, 7 p.m. We just finished up again tonight with Keith Pompey as our guest. Great Sixers writer for the Philadelphia Inquirer and good man.
Yes. Now, I did hear, Billy, that you're going to be riding with the Washington Huskies this week, correct?
Yeah, I've been riding with his Huskies on this show for 2 months now.
Yeah.
And I see no reason why not.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you this. I think in the trenches, it is going to be a battle to watch. Both sides of the ball, both teams. I think the difference in my mind is maybe not even Michael Penix as much as is the Washington wide receiver crew.
I think
they're tremendous.
I think Oduzier has to show up. And Bill, there was a night going line by Jalen Polk. He had over 120 yards too. I mean, pick your poison with these guys. But Bill, regarding what you said, winning this game in the trenches, that Michigan defense, that front seven, Bill, they can play. They can play big boy football, smash mouth, Big Ten. This is what it's about. But the one thing, Bill, the last play of the game with Washington, their starting tailback got injured too.
Yeah.
And he's questionable right now. They're saying that he has a high ankle sprain, Bill, and that goes a long way being that number one back too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. They need him. They need everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but keep in mind too, I agree with you wholeheartedly on the Michigan front seven, but the Washington offensive line also won the Joe Moore Award for the best offensive line in the country.
Yes.
So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think the trench warfare is going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah, I think it's going to be about adjustments here, Bill. I mean, I'll give Michael Penix and that offense the nod on the outside, Bill. With these wide receivers, I give them the nod 100%. You know, with Penix throwing the ball on a rope, whatever he wants to do, and but that front seven, Bill, if they can control that line of scrimmage and get to Penix, we've seen Penix run last week when he had to, Bill, but I don't think that's in the game plan for this week. I really don't see that. But if you can get pressure on Penix, I think it could go either way. I think it's going to be a damn close game, Bill. I really do. But I'm going to lead toward Washington too because, Bill, they know how to win in close games. What 10 games this year under 7 points, no matter who they played, they've won games that way. They know how to win close games, Bill.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I think that you're going to see lots of blitzing, lots of pressure on both these kids to see who can play quarterback. Blake Corum is going to be a big player in this game too, whether it's maybe receiving more than running. But I think you're going to see a lot of Blake Corum from the Michigan side and a lot of wide receivers from the Washington side.
Yeah, I mean, look at it last week. You know, with Texas, Bill, they had 28 rushes for 188 yards, 2 TDs on the ground, and you know, with Corum, he had 19 carries for 83 alone. Bill, you know, we know what kind of offensive lineman they have, the power back, and if they want to bring in Edwards too, Donovan Edwards off the as a second running back, he's a pounder. Bill, I think this game could be a chess match. I think it's going to come down to quarterback play, and that point, I will give the game to Washington. But on the other side, Bill, that Michigan defense can play ball too. So I don't know. I think if Penix can get the ball downfield, I'll give it to Washington. If McCarthy can control the game, Bill, minimize mistakes, take what the defense gives you, and just move the ball, and I want to say time possession, Bill. If Michigan keep Washington off the field, they got a hell of a chance to win this game too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I just I usually side on the side of more like the Big Ten style of football, the smash mouth football. Usually I would pick the Big Ten guy here. I just think that the Washington offensive line is a difference. And man, those receivers, they got a whole crew of them, and they're all good. You can't stop all three of them.
Agree. I'm always on the offensive side, Bill. I like, the run and gun, motion, the hybrid offense. But I tell you what, we played a team that took away my passing game, and the running game wasn't there when they have a stout, front seven. The secondary is good. These two teams, Bill, are arguably the best teams in the nation right now. I can't wait for this game here, Bill. What kind of score are you looking at, Bill? What do you think?
27-25.
27 right there. 27-20. Wow, that close, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Are we looking at
I'm not sure that's not too many points.
I agree, Bill. I don't think it's going to be a shootout here. I'm going to be probably in the same range as you. I'll go a little bit higher. I'm going to go 31-27 Washington. But, Bill, going back to these BCS games, the semifinal, Bill, are we going to go down to the last, who has the ball last with the last chance to, win that, hoist that trophy, Bill?
Why not?
Oh, wow. Why? That's what I want, Bill. That's what I want. Last play of the game. Let's do it, Bill, I was standing up when I seen these last two games because I tell you what, I haven't seen games like this in a long time, Bill. I really haven't.
Well, they certainly have been fun to watch. It for all the disappointment of all the games we talked about to get to these two, and this one I think is going to be really special. If one of these teams manages to blow out the other one, I would be mighty, mighty surprised.
Yep. Eddie says Washington 33-27. I'm going to go right around that area too. I think it's a close game. I mean, to me, that would be a shootout. 33 points with these two teams, the way they play each other, that would be a shootout to me. But Bill, the last thing I want to ask you, of course, is Penn State. What do they have to do next year, Bill? Are you sold on Drew Aller? Are you sold on how this Penn State team is looking for next year?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, they signed the wide receiver from Ohio State, the 5-star kid who never really played at Ohio State today, and then lost the receiver at the same time. The offense didn't look any better or any different. Now they do have a new coordinator. They have a new defense coordinator too.
Right.
So we, hopefully we see a lot of development there. Got to put the offensive line together, and they weren't very good, and we'll see. They'd probably be in the top 12, but I don't think we're shooting for a national championship.
I agree. I'm in the same boat with Notre Dame, Bill. It's just 9 players transferred, Bill. 9 starters transferred out of there. You lost your quarterback Hartman. Of course, you get Riley Leonard, but Riley Leonard ACC, Hartman ACC. They really didn't pan out for us either way. It's rebuilding, Bill. But I hope the boosters at Notre Dame say, pull out the pockets, pull out the checkbooks, Bill, because that's something I never thought Notre Dame would ever do. Buy players, Bill. It's always academically. Well, you know what? You have to buy players now. I'm sorry to say it. You better go out and open the checkbooks, because that's the only way Notre Dame will become Notre Dame. It's been since '88, Bill, since I've seen something. Time to pull out the checkbook, Bill.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at basketball, Mike Krzyzewski fought the one and done thing. He didn't recruit guys to be one and done guys, and guess what? He started losing.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, well, we better change the game plan here.
Yeah, we always talk about University of Kentucky, the Wildcats, with the Calipari, same way, one and done. Hey, you know what? I'm going to recruit you for 1 year. Yep. My 5-star athletes, 4 of them on the court at one time. If I can't get a national championship, I'll start over next year, because we know they're gone.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. Well, Bill, before we get out of here, where can all the people find you at once again, Bill?
Philly Press Box Radio, Wednesday nights, 7 o'clock, 475 times, 77 times, something, whatever it is, a lot of times.
Jeez.
But we had 52 weeks last year. We did 52 shows. We didn't miss any. So check us out. We always have good guests, and looking forward to some more.
Yeah, Bill, but I want to ask you something this week really quick. I know it has not anything to do with college football, but who wins the division this week, Bill? My Dallas Cowboys or your Philadelphia Eagles?
The Commanders. Go Commanders.
I knew that was coming, Phil.
Steve, go Commanders.
He's actually going to be hopping on the 215 Boys show this week. Bill, that line is 13.5.
Yeah. I think watching the Eagles has been really an interesting look at things because they certainly have fallen apart. But is it fixable? Do you go like a lamb, or do you suck it up? And I mean, the real thing is you got to the playoffs.
Everybody starts 0-0.
Yeah, everybody's 0-0. But now you keep saying for weeks and weeks you got to fix things. Well, you're not getting a better result.
Right.
So we'll find out. And it's not Sunday. I mean, I think they need to play better fundamentally Sunday, but it's the next week.
Yep. Well, real quick, I just want to ask you one thing before this is on my mind right now. We talked about Alabama putting the ball in your best player hand, Jalen Milroe. Is that what the Eagles did the last drive? They're putting the ball in Jalen Hurts' hands, Bill, with the bubble pass and then the QB run here, which got basically nothing. Is that what they're doing, Bill? Because Bill, there's a difference between Philadelphia. They have the weapons, Bill, running backs, wide receivers, a stout offensive line, Bill, that can run on anybody if they put it together. What the heck's the issue, Bill? That's all.
Well, I think in the last drive, first of all, they got a holding penalty.
Yes, yeah. My Bellotta, was it my Bellotta?
Yeah. So now you're 1st and 20. Mm-hmm. They tried to make a play with Hurts. It was an RPO. Mm-hmm. Hurts kept the ball and got nothing. They tried whatever they tried on the second play. The third play, the screen was a check down, according to Brian Johnson. They have several options off of that play. Hurts looked at the situation. He checked down to that because that's the play he thought would work based on the coverages and the formation and all that. And Hurts checked to the play, and the play didn't work.
Okay. Yeah, I think Dallas wins division because I don't know. Well, that's a different story. But playing on the road is a different animal to me, Bill. We know that how we look. But Bill, next week should be our last episode for the year, correct?
Yeah.
Oh boy, man, Bill, it's a pleasure.
It's been fun too.
It definitely has. I love talking college football, Bill, and I tell you what, when I talk to you, I love picking your brain because there's nobody better than I would love to, talk to and do the show with. And next week we're gonna have a fun show. We'll talk about we will hoist our own trophy, Bill. The Out of the Box Sports Entertainment
there you go.
Trophy. We will hoist it, this year. Great doing the show with you, Bill. So, Bill, are you ready to get out of here? And we're ready.
Let's do it.
All right, myself, Paul Spencer. That is the original there, Mr. Bill Furman from Philly Press Box Radio. Please check him out, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and make sure, Bill, what is that Twitter account? I want to get the right one out there for you this time.
At Philly Press Box Radio.
There it is. Please subscribe to him. Great knowledge out there. Him and Chet do a wonderful show every week, Wednesday, 7 p.m., right before the show. So, Bill, I will see you next week.
All right, my man. Sounds good.
All right. Talk to you later, Bill.